if you're relatively new being an employer brand thinker, right? Regardless of what team you're in, whatever functional area you're in, if you're really starting to embrace this idea that employer brand has a powerful effect on the business, there's something you kind of need to know. And that is, there's no such thing as a straight line. That insight, that idea, that genius strategy you have, and how it gets executed, there's no straight line. It's a mess. It is absolute sausage making from here to there. And it turns out that that's not a weakness, that's a strength. And we'll talk about that in a second. But first, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with all these tips, tricks, and ideas for employer branders. And if you like employer branding, subscribe to my newsletter, employerbrandheadlines.substack.com. Links in the show notes. So anyway, yes, you need to leave room for accidents to happen. They're usually positive. They're not always, but they're usually positive. The powerful thing about accidents is that it lets the room happen. Remember that employer branding is not about a clear-cut strategy. You do not have ownership over everyone who impacts the employer brand. The employer brand is owned by everybody in the company. It is a perception that lives in strangers' minds, people you may never ever actually meet. Your job is to influence their thinking about your company, and you have no direct access to them. And all the people who build the stuff you do not have direct authority over. You can't tell product what to do. You can't tell customer service what to do. You can't tell leadership what to do. But all those things impact the employer brand. So instead of saying, here's a genius strategy and I'm going to build it, you have to show up and leave some wiggle room. Because it turns out that when you leave some open space in your brand, in your strategy, in your idea, the people in the room add to it. One of my favorite examples of this is when I was delivering my very, very first EVP. I was a wee employer brander. No, I was very old. But I had a couple of options. We couldn't decide amongst the three options. There were arguments in recruiting and talent acquisition. There were arguments in marketing. I dog and ponied this brand to leaders throughout the company. And I polled them. I said, which brand do you think most speaks to this company? And you know what the answer was? Yes. Of the three options, I think it was a dead heat amongst all three, or I couldn't even throw one out. So I brought it to the leadership team, the brand team. I said, okay, here we are. I've shown you all this brand. You've had time to consider it. Let's talk about how to use it. Let's talk about what it is and what it isn't. That's important. And then as we walk out of this room, I don't want to leave this room until we have a brand determined. And we were supposed to talk for 10 minutes. 25 minutes later, we're still arguing. People have changed their minds. What they thought was option one was the best, now they think option two is the best, and vice versa. Everybody's all over the map. We're influencing each other. The room is threatening to get crazy. And then one person, luckily the CEO, said, what if we take the first part of the first one and the second part of the second one and glue them together? Now, I've been staring at these three brand options for months. Months. Never once occurred to me. Was it the best brand on the table? Turns out it was. It was just right there. And the trick is, because I was so focused on what I thought was right, I missed the happy accident. I missed the accidents in the room. And it wasn't until someone spoke up, because I made sure there was room for other people to speak up, that accident got to happen. Now, since then, those kinds of accidents happen on a regular basis because I make sure to leave some room. And I think you should too. It doesn't make you have or look like you have less credibility or authority, because let's be fair, you have no authority. But as the conductor of the brand, of the larger company, of these things you have no control over, leaving room for happy accidents is how your best work is going to happen. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you next time on the Employer Brand Minute.